Hello everyone, it's Tesharra Alexander, your trusted realtor, and I am here today to discuss being in entrepreneurship for one full year. This week actually marks 1 year that I decided to walk away from my 9-to-5 teaching career. I had been teaching for 20 years, and when the pandemic hit, several things happened and I decided to walk away. So I wanted to do a 1-year video on how that experience has been. Prior to that, I did do real estate as well as teaching. So this marks again 1 full year of me just working for myself in real estate. And I really just wanted to do a reflection of how I feel, lessons I've learned, things that I want to share with others who are thinking about starting their own business. First of all, I love teaching. It was not a time where I felt frustrated or I can't handle the kids or I can't handle the pressure. That wasn't it. It was honestly something in my spirit that said it was time to shift. And I talked to my husband, prayed about it, planned it out, and kind of planned my escape. I always tell people I did take the leap of faith, but I certainly had on a parachute to make sure that my decision would not be one that I regretted. So for anyone who's thinking about leaving your 9-to-5, be sure to plan it out. Have that 6 to 12 months of reserve for your finances and use your 9-to-5 as motivation to leave your job and start your own business. But sometimes when we're working a 9-to-5 and we get frustrated, we tend to just jump out on emotion. And so I think that's something that we need to make sure that we plan our way out, because you'll have better results knowing that, hey, I have a plan of action. This is what I'm going to do to be successful. And that tends to work better. But I did sit down. Remember the meeting I had with my principal when I told him I was leaving, and he wanted to know if there was anything he could do or, why I was leaving. It was during the pandemic. I will say I would not have left my job if it had not been for the pandemic. So my reason may be a little different from others, but I'm one of those teachers, I give 100%. Like if you look at my history, I was teacher of the year several times at several different schools, even district teacher one time, top 3. And so I really work hard when it comes to educating students. And some of you all might be on here, students that I've taught before. I still run into them in social media. You all may have seen my post where I'm actually currently shopping with a client. He actually has a contract on a property now that we're hoping to get, but I'm actually working with one of my students that I taught in middle school on the real estate side to help him purchase a home. So that's a beautiful story that I hope you guys follow. But I love my students and I love the art of teaching. So when the pandemic hit, things began to shift and change. It was like everybody do this. It was like they were trying to make everything standard. So I kind of felt like I was losing my edge and my creativity to do what I knew was best for the students, in which before I felt like I had been trusted to do that. And there were more and more responsibilities being put on the classroom teacher that for me did not allow me to do my best for my students. That's just my opinion. But I love my principal, I love my coworkers, and I love my students. I was at a school that I thought I would retire. I literally wanted to do 10 more years at that school to get my 30 years in. But when the pandemic hit, I started thinking I was doing real estate already, making good money. So I also wanted to be home with my son. I did not like the fact that other parents could homeschool their kids if they choose to, and I had to drop CJ off. Of course, this was at a time where we didn't know what was going on with the pandemic or how severe it was. So didn't like all the unsureties. Well, went ahead, resigned, and shortly after this year, January, my father passed away. My mom and dad started to kind of decline in health, and so I was thankful that I was able to be, and I should say decline. Well, yeah, there was some decline, but they were getting older. Okay, so just in general, more time needed to be spent with them. They were both in and out of the hospital, so I was able to travel freely to deal with those things. And as I said, I lost my father in January. I was able to go home for a few days without having to ask off. All teachers know how that's a headache of, even though it's something serious you need to handle in your personal life, principals want you in the building as much as possible. So thank God I didn't have to deal with all of that before the passing of my father. So I was grateful for the freedom to do that. So starting my own business, I did not know all of what that entails. I am a faith believing person. I believe that God leads and guides me, my creativity, my ideas. So I just began to pray and say, God, I want to be successful in this real estate thing, because what I noticed was it was still ministry to me. Ministry is not just preaching to someone out of the Bible. It is living a certain way before man. It is encouraging people. It is supporting people. And yes, it is helping people find homes. If that's the space you're put in, then your ministry is within, I believe, our daily activities, just like I feel as if I ministered to kids in the classroom. So I love the idea of helping people have what I had, okay? Because we built a home in 2020. It was our third home, but we built our dream home. And so I was just really excited to see other people move into their homes and expand their families. You don't know how many clients I've had who were pregnant and they had babies in the first home that I sold them. I mean, it's an amazing feeling to be able to negotiate and navigate this market to help people do that. So I was like, this feels good. I was also able to incorporate teaching, because I was thinking, now I have a master's degree in educational leadership as well as a specialist degree. So I was like, so I went to school, got all this education, had student loan debt. So how can I use the tools that I have in real estate? So I started teaching courses. I was doing seminars, Zoom sessions. I have a course now called the Ultimate Homebuyers Course that I'm teaching right now, and I'll continue to do that with different groups of people who are interested in learning how can I navigate this tough market to still become a homeowner, because things are changing. So I still get to teach, and that's what it's about. You don't have to lose your skill set or your passion. If you like to, whatever you like to do, and you decide to work for yourself, those gifts will make room for you, even as an entrepreneur. So God began to just give me ideas, and my business is doing extremely well. I'm very happy with my numbers. A lot of my business is new construction, so those numbers are kind of undocumented. But I have a goal for this year, and I'm well on track to meet that goal. I work just as hard for myself as I did for the school district. And I think that that's important. That's what I've learned this year, is that I still have to get up. I still have to do videos. I still have to call clients. I still have to follow up to make sure that my clients feel like their needs are being met. So just putting systems in place for this last year has been important, so that I don't become stagnant, because sometimes we think staying at home means doing nothing, or staying at home means that, I don't have to have a routine or rituals. So I wanted to make sure. So I'll say that's what I've been doing. I'm going to talk a little bit about the lessons I've learned from having my own business this year. Okay, so I don't have anyone in my family who knew or to talk to me about starting a business. This was something I had to figure out. Honestly, most of my family members are ministers and preachers and teachers. So I had the word, I had the faith, I had those things, the foundational things, which are very important. But I had to go and get the business sense, And so I watched a lot of videos. I contacted people who I saw were really doing well in the business, because I wanted to learn everything. I wanted to make sure I was top notch in what I was doing. A lot of that is because me not wanting to fail is because I left a 20-year career. So I'm like, okay, Lord, this has to work. Like, I'm not going to leave my school that I love, my career, fail in real estate, and have to come back. If I ever go back to education, it will be my choice. Real estate will be thriving, and I will choose to go back because I miss it, or I want to contribute to society in that way. But I don't ever want to have to go back financially. Okay. And yes, I do have a husband who's amazing, who, if I never worked another day, can take care of all the bills in our home. That's not the issue. But for me, it's a certain lifestyle. Us independent women, I just have a certain amount I want to bring and contribute into our household, into our future. So I have my own financial goals that I, focus on as well. But if I don't ever want to have to go back to work because I feel like I failed financially, I want it to be a choice if I ever do decide to use my credentials and teach again. But for right now, I love the freedom to go. My daughter had an appointment. I was able to be there with her. My husband's a coach. I can go to his games. My son, I've been to ice cream parties and celebrations with my son because I have the freedom to do so. To go pick up clothes from the cleaners when I want to, get gas when I want to, instead of having to fight after work traffic, things like that. I mean, that's probably what I've enjoyed the most in creating my own schedule. But I will say, if you're going to leave your 9 to 5, make sure you have a plan. Make sure that you put something in place so that it doesn't become stagnant. And sometimes when we jump out to start new businesses and things don't go well, we say, oh, I made a mistake. Maybe not. Maybe you just need a solution to your issue. Maybe you need to reset, revise, revamp what you're doing so that you can find success on a different path. It doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be doing this. And I think we give up on our dreams way, way too early. So hang in there. When I first started real estate in 2019 as a part-time gig, I didn't have any sales in 2019. My first seminar that I did, I had not sold a home, but I knew the procedure enough to help people prepare. And from that seminar, I had several people close with me years later. So I just say start. Don't have fear. If you make mistakes and it feels like failure, it's just a time to reset. It's just a time to go back and say, okay, what could I do differently to feel successful in this thing in which I'm doing? So I know this video is kind of long, but it's my reflection, and I think it's important for me to look back, because one day I'm going to be a huge top producing agent. I'm doing well now, but there's more work to be done, of course, and I want to look back at this video and kind of reflect on what I was feeling in 2022 compared to where I know God is taking me. A couple other things I want to share with you that I've had to focus on was financial literacy. I did hire a financial planner. I did hire a CPA just to make sure that the money that was coming in, that I was being a good steward of it. I am not one to splurge and buy designer things for image, or I really don't care what people think about what I wear or what I have. It has to fit into my mental budget. I literally went into a store one time to buy something designer because I had something that was coming up. And I was like, I don't even like, it doesn't even look like it should cost that much. So I'm not even going to invest my money into that. I don't spend money, I invest money. And so that's very important to remember as your business grows and you bring the money in, are you being a good steward of it? Because that can cut it short. If God says, every time I give you money, you run to the mall. Okay, money doesn't equal mall. So that's one thing I can say I feel like I've done an excellent job at, is being a good steward of the money that He gives me, paying my tithe, making sure that I bless people when I can, making sure my kids' futures are successful, our household, stuff is taken care of. And that's just what I do. Again, yes, I am married, and my husband does, he's an educator, so he could take care. We have built our lifestyle. I heard this one time. I think this is pretty interesting to share. We have built our lifestyle to the point where if something happened to one of our incomes, the other person could cover all the bills in the house. And when you do that, there's no pressure on one or the other person, because anything can happen, right? And so I think if you're a couple, still live below your means, so you don't have to live within the struggle. So if your husband gets an increase, that doesn't mean you should go buy a new car or something like that. Because, with the way we're headed to a recession, that's a whole nother video. But I feel like we're headed to what is going to feel like a recession. And so cutting back, those things are important. Even in my business of being successful financially, I spend wisely. So that's a thing that I feel is important for anyone who's thinking about starting a business. It might blow up, but don't let that money go in the wrong hands or in the wrong area, because business is very fragile. Sometimes sales are good, sometimes they're not. So your finances need to always be stable. So just because your business is, up and down, it doesn't mean that your finances or your spending has to be up and down. So get you a budget, stick to it, and I think that's important. But would I leave my 9 to 5 and do this all over again? Absolutely, without a doubt. getting out of the classroom at the time that I did was best for me. And I know there's some teachers hanging in there. My heart, my prayers go out to you. As I'm doing this video, I think it was Tuesday. This is a Thursday. The babies and the 2 teachers were just killed in Texas at, I think it's Rod Elementary, I believe. And, it's just rough out there. And I remember doing all the safety drills and things like that when Sandy Hook happened. Sandy Hook Elementary, those killings happened. And it's tough out there. So I'm constantly praying for teachers. We're all exposed to the evilness of this world. Not saying that you shouldn't teach because evil things happen. Evil things can happen anywhere. But I just know teachers are under a lot of pressure and a lot of unnecessary stress that I'm praying, will subside so that we can get back to teaching and making sure that the kids are educated is the main thing. But I'm a teacher at heart. I know it helps me in my business, having the skills that I have to solve problems and deal with issues and multitask. I see all those skill sets being used in my business as well. So super excited. 1 year out here on my own. I have all of my accounts set up with my bank, so my money's going in the right places. And this is the first year, like last year I had to understand taxes, and that's why I hired a CPA. And anytime I call him, I just talked to him yesterday. I was like, hey, I need some financial therapy. I have a question about something. Because I do have investment properties or an investment property, and I'm looking to acquire another one this year. My husband kind of handles the construction of it. And then I go and pick the properties, being a real estate agent, I run the numbers. So we're a great team, and just building our portfolio. Again, put your money in the right places where it's passive income and it is an asset and not a liability. So I think if I haven't learned anything else, that's what I have learned, is not to just have a business, but to run a business, guys. So I think this video is almost 20 minutes long, 17 minutes, and I knew it would be kind of lengthy because this is a lot for me to reflect on. Leaving a career that I loved, going into a career that I had to build, has been a blessing to myself and my family, and I would do it all over again. If you guys have any questions, like you're thinking about transitioning, I think I know I did a very good job of transitioning, because I have not felt the stress. Like right now, it's a tough market for real estate. It's a seller's market, so my buyers are struggling a little bit, but financially I'm good. So I'm not out here pushing properties on them that they don't want because I need a check. I'm not the I need a check realtor. I'm going to tell you the truth. When it's your time, it's your time. And I don't ever want my finances to be contingent upon what other people do, other than myself and my efforts. So I'll say that again. I don't ever want my finances to be completely contingent upon what other people do. So I have funds in place to make sure my life is smooth, so I can move in integrity when it comes to helping people find homes. So that's important to me. And again, setting up systems. If you have any questions about starting your own business or real estate, I would be more than glad to answer those questions. Just to see if there's any way I can help. I'm actually working on some mentorship stuff, because there have been a few agents who've reached out to me and asked me about mentoring them. So I'm actually going through some training to do that, to make sure I do it properly. Everything I do, I try to do in a spirit of excellence. So there is so much more to come. Like, I'm not going to let this thing get boring. I'm not going to let it become ineffective. I will continue the success and continue adding to my knowledge as it relates to real estate, guys. So I think that's all. I hope I don't think of anything really cool once I get off here, but I just wanted to do a 1-year video for those of you who watched me leave the classroom and go into real estate. I am here to stay. I love it. I'm a full-time realtor. I don't do this as a hobby. This is my passion. So love it. And guys, I hope you have a great, blessed rest of the day. Contact me if you need me. I am here to satisfy all of your selling and buying needs. If you're in the Cobb County or Fulton County areas, give me a call, guys. Bye.